We're Bash Brothers Movies, and we just came home from a double feature. We just saw Blade Runner and one other movie.
2049.
Yeah, I mean, it is a sequel, so yeah, it's called Blade Runner 2049. Listen, man, I had so many expectations for this movie that I can't even begin to. I had no expectations. I expected to get the same movie as the original.
Which is what you got.
Which is what I got, which is surprising for a sequel, especially like what has it been, like 35 years since the original came out?
Yeah, 82.
Yeah, 82, I mean, and multiple director's cut and whatnot. Later we finally got a sequel. Well, finally I'm just throwing those words out there because
I kind of think it came out of nowhere, you know, when they announced it.
That's...
I don't know who was in the room when the idea was thrown out. It was like, okay, like we're remaking, sequeling stuff, let's do Blade Runner.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's one of those movies that didn't do very well at the box office when it first came out. It got its audience over the years, it's a cult following. Not many people have seen it, even the movie fan... among the movie fans in general, not many people have seen this movie.
I think they did, but the thing is that I think they're on the fence whether they liked it or not. Most of them, also, I think, are like you, but it was too slow for them.
Listen, it also depends, as we mentioned, there's a multiple cuts of this movie, so it also depends on which version people seen, because not every every version has something different. So it's like, as far as the original goes, I'm not a big fan of it. I've seen it. Listen,
I saw the original twice, and I'm not sure they were the same cut. I think they were different cuts. Yeah. But generally, walking out, first time I fell asleep through it. It is a slow movie.
Very slow.
That's why I rewatched it a few years later, because it was like Blade Runner this and Blade Runner that. I was like, okay, I tried to watch it once, fell asleep. I rewatched it, liked it a lot more on the second running, because this is the type of movie that I generally like.
Yeah, I almost fell asleep during the original Blade Runner. I didn't. I think I saw one of the final versions, if not the final version. And listen, any movie that puts me to sleep, I'm not gonna go back to it again. Or if I do, I have to be really convinced to go back to it again.
Well, it really depends on the circumstances that led to the falling asleep. If I'm pulling the second all-nighter in a row,
exactly,
and I fall asleep, it's probably not the movie. It's the fact that I didn't sleep for 2 days.
If a movie is slow, then part of the problem lies in the movie. So let's get to the sequel. When Denis Villeneuve was announced to be directing it, I was like, that's a perfect fit. Like, if Ridley Scott's not gonna do it, it's a perfect fit, especially if you've seen his previous work. Like, you know, this guy, probably a lot of his inspiration just to get into this business probably came from the original Blade Runner 2, and I think that's...
Quite possibly, if you base it solely on his work, though.
I mean, if you look at
the tempo of his movies, the general style,
exactly,
it is slow, it is prolonged.
There's a lot of wide shots, a lot of landscapes, a lot of weird angles. Not like, yeah, I mean, listen, if there's anyone who's gonna be directing this, I think Denis Villeneuve is a perfect.
He was the perfect choice,
definitely, and we
once we saw the movie, it just confirms it. They were doing it. He was a perfect choice.
Yeah, visually this movie is amazing. I can't even begin. Like, the role, I have the same gripes with the sequel that I had with the original. I love the role that this is set in. I like Denis Villeneuve's portrayal of it much better, because there are more colors, even though it's still very gray and pale. Like, it's very
he did stay true to the original.
Oh, definitely.
It's kind of post-apocalyptic.
Yeah, but I think technology has a lot to do with it too.
Oh yeah.
Because the technology back in 81, 82, when this movie was made, not the same as we have in 2017.
We've come a long way.
Definitely.
Technology-wise.
Yeah.
Also, this is something to keep in mind. There are 3 short movies that are set in the world between. One is it's an animated short that's set in 2020. That leads to the whole revolution, if you would, where the replicants rebel.
You don't need to see those, but if you're interested...
It kind of explains, it just gives you 3 short movies. So one is set in 2020, the second one is set in 2036, I believe, and the last one is set in 2048. They give you just, you can go without him. He did. I wanted to see him just because I thought he might enhance the experience. It did.
I think it definitely did.
It gives you a little bit insight into what is happening. So when the movie starts, when certain topics arise, you know what happened.
Yeah, and that's listen. Daniel Villeneuve's known for his open endings.
But he didn't do him.
He's known for his open endings. So all these things that you saw that we didn't see, who went to see this movie fresh, so to speak, just as it is, or even people who haven't seen the original, they probably, most of them, like we talked to the girl we know works at cinema, she didn't know there was a Blade Runner that was created in 1982. She thought this was like just its own thing. So yeah, a lot of people don't know this is a sequel, even though it's coming like 35 years later. So there, like, you can watch this movie outright. So it's like,
oh yeah, even without watching the original, even without watching the in-between shorts.
Definitely. And then he
stands on his own. And he does a phenomenal job with everything.
The story is great. The pacing, I have a problem with the pacing.
The pacing is slow and prolonged.
Yeah,
I mean, keep in mind it's about 160 minutes, so you know it's gonna be slow. You know there's gonna be, like you said, there's wide shots, landscapes. They just adds to the running time of the whole movie. But it does stay true to the original in every aspect of the movie. From the start, everything in between, and then the end. You see, you have the same open ending as you did
in the original. Yeah, and that's one of the problems I also had with the movie. I get why they did it. It's art, it's this, it's that. They like to keep you guessing, just form your own opinion about it. Sometimes I just like to see a story from beginning to an end. But that's just me. I don't think movies suffering because of that, but I just think...
No, because
listen,
if this was another movie, it'd probably be like, okay, left you hanging. But when it's Blade Runner...
Not just Blade Runner, it's just the whole... I mean, yeah, because it's Blade Runner, because it's Denis Villeneuve. And listen, the issue I had with the pacing, as usual, I usually have issue with pacing with most movies, but it's like the fact that Ridley Scott made the original and the fact that Denis Villeneuve stayed very much true to the original
extremely true.
Definitely. I'm guessing Ridley Scott would have done the exact same job if he was heading this movie.
Probably, but based on what we've seen from Alien franchise,
listen,
I think Danny did a better job than Ridley would have had he made.
Of course, yeah. I mean, he's doing so many things right now anyway. So, but then
not to take anything away from Ridley, but I like the fresh pair of eyes.
Yeah, and very rarely do we see like. Usually, when we get a sequel, like usually doesn't stand up to the original. Very rarely is it better, and especially when you have a new director come in. And especially like this is 35 years later, so
and you don't know what he's doing. Is he doing his own thing? Is he staying true to the original source material?
Yeah, like you see.
What are we gonna see? Is he gonna?
Yeah, so it's like for Danny to be like to stay true to that, to have been able to accomplish that, I think speaks a lot about the movie. So like critically speaking, I think this movie is gonna be great. I expect many Oscar nominations, and listen. And one more gripe I had with the movie is I think I've noticed that Denis Villeneuve keeps recycling his sound effects. Okay, I think people don't know. So don't tell them. I know. So it's like, you know, like keep that in mind, folks. Okay, he's recycling stuff. Not that I have anything against it. I do when it comes to Denis Villeneuve, but. Listen, it keeps happening, man. It keeps happening, so...
I don't want to turn him into next Michael Bay, please.
In my opinion, he's already turning into Michael Bay, and I love Michael Bay, so...
We love Michael Bay.
But, listen...
Can Michael make all the action movies from now on?
Sicario was my favorite movie of 2015, Danny did that. I noticed the same sound effects in Arrival, which was definitely one of the best movies this year. Last year, when it came out.
Yeah,
last year? Yeah. And I've noticed the same sound effects in all three of these movies. So I think Danny, I think you need to...
Listen, when you keep the same pace in all your movies, it's easy to throw them in.
Yeah, so, but it's like...
And why reshoot it when you already had a tape of it?
Dude, you know I have nothing against it when it's done right. When it's done right. I don't think Danny's doing it right.
You know, in his defense, I haven't noticed. So, you wanna rate this thing?
On a scale of 1 to 30, which is our scale if you're first time watching this, first time joining the Bash Brothers movies, listen, anything below 15 would not be right for this movie, but damn, man. Oh, you're putting me on the spot, man. Because I'm not gonna be rewatching this movie anytime soon, I'm gonna give it an 18. I don't
so generous.
Dude, it's Danny Villeneuve, it's very slow paced, it almost put me to sleep. I fell asleep twice during the movie, but only for like a short intervals, so I didn't miss, I don't think I missed anything. And yeah,
I don't know, I was too busy watching the movie, figuring out whether you were asleep or not.
Visual effects definitely made up for everything wrong with this movie that was wrong with it in my opinion. So it's like the slow pace, the sound effects, visual effects make up for it, the plot also makes up for it, but had the movie been a little bit faster, it would have been a much better movie. So 18 out of 30, man.
I give it a solid 23.
So you don't think it's a masterpiece as much as you
I can't go
defended it, like.
Here's the thing, I can't, it's not the greatest movie ever made.
I think,
but if I had to, but I'll
but
definitely rewatch
we pretty
this.
much pegged it as one of the best movies ever made. I mean,
did we?
Yeah. Maybe
well, just because there's nothing, the stuff that's wrong with it isn't there wrong with it doesn't mean the stuff that's right with it is so right. Listen, here's the thing. You're looking at a solid movie, above average. Listen, he has the plot, he has the visual effects, he has the sound effects, the acting. You want to go into that? You can dissect them by character, and every one of them holds up.
Definitely, by far.
The casting choices,
perfect.
On
the mark. Yeah, on point.
Every single one.
Agreed.
Waited a while to get Harrison Ford in it, but the way they brought him in, on point.
Yeah, and we're not gonna tell you what happened to Harrison Ford. So. This is a no spoiler
the pacing
review,
of the movie, I like. As much as I like a good action movie, I also like it when they laid it back, when they slow it down. No, it's not an action movie by any chance.
This is a sci-fi movie, so it's not.
But I like them fast-paced, but I also like them slow-paced. And this was a nice, slow-paced movie. Like I said, when I watched the original, fell asleep the first time. That's why I had to rewatch it. This one, I didn't. It kept me in. Even though it could have been faster, I like the fact that it's not. Like I said, it's not full-on masterpiece, it's not a Picasso, but you know, I liked it. Generally, it's very good. Going above 20, I could go to 24 max. Everything above that puts it in a place where I don't want it.
You're not comfortable.
I'm not comfortable with it there.
Yeah,
so 23, 24, I like this. For me, it's a very good movie.
Okay.
And I'll definitely rewatch it at some point.
Okay.
Like I said, also you have to keep in mind it goes on for 160 minutes, so you know, you need time to rewatch it. You're not just gonna pop it in for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, and make sure if you're I'm not sure if you already said you plan on seeing it. If you plan on seeing it, go for it. I mean, it's worth watching in cinema. We saw it in 3D simply because that was the time slot that we were able to go see it. But I think visually, I think this can be seen in 2D without losing anything.
I think you can. But
just make sure that the projection you're gonna go see. Some of them, like some theaters, cinemas here in Croatia, they have a 15-minute break in the middle of the movie. So I'm not sure if that's the thing worldwide or not, but just keep that in mind if you're gonna go see it.
It goes on for a while.
Yeah,
but it's definitely, listen, it's a movie worth watching.
Yeah.
Bottom line, we might have gripes with it, but it's definitely worth watching.
At least once in your life. Yeah. So yeah.
Or a few more times.
It depends on you, your choice. So
whether this is your kind of thing or not.
Exactly. So that's our review. We hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for joining us. Let us know.
Subscribe, and
let us know what you think about our review, about the movie. We usually respond when we see well-written comments.
I don't.
Dude. Until next time.
Yeah.